Hey everyone, welcome back to Code with Yusuf channel. In this video, we will implement authentication using React.js, Node.js in MySQL database. So we will just first of all implement the registration. After the registration, we will move to the login system. After that, we will move to the protected routes. It means that we will protect our routes that unauthorized user cannot access our routes. It means, for example, the home page or other pages, unauthorized user cannot access those pages. Just the authorized, it means those users which are logged into the system can access those pages. So for that, we will use JSON web token, which is a JSON object which is used for securely transmitting information between two parties. So let's start. Okay, we will use MySQL database, React.js and Node.js. First of all, we will create our React and Node app. Then we will move to the functionalities of login, register and protected routes. I have opened an empty folder inside VS Code editor. So let's create our React and Node projects. So let's first of all create our React app. Let's say just come here to the terminal. In the terminal, let's write npm init npm create with. So with is used to create our React app. So let's wait. Yeah, it says, would you like to proceed? Yes. And after that, we will assign the project name, which is frontend. Press enter. Then we will select React and JavaScript. That is okay. Now let's move to CD, change the directory to front end. And inside front end, we would like to run npm install command. Let's wait for it to install all the dependencies and the packages for the React project. So after the installation completed, now let's install the front end, a few libraries we would like to install. So just come here to the notepad file. I have written them here. So first of all, we will install these npm install Axios. So let's paste it. So install Axios is HTTP request response library, React Router for routing, and Tailwind CSS for designing. So let's install Tailwind CSS. Let's come here to Tailwind CSS with wait.js. Okay, to install it. So it says, first of all, install these Tailwind CSS, Post CSS, and Auto Prefixer. These three things, let's install them. Okay, Axios, React Router DOM, Tailwind CSS, Post CSS, Auto Prefixer. Press enter to install these. After the installation, for the Tailwind CSS, we will just run this command npx tailwind css init -p. So it is used to create Tailwind config file. So let's wait for the installation. Let's run now the tailwind command to create tailwind.config file. So after creating that file, let's come here down. It says just update the content area. Just copy this the content section in the config file. Let's come here and find the config tailwind.config.js. Just update the content section. That is okay. Please save that. And what else we need? Just copy these three lines, these three directory, and paste them inside the index.css file. Let's move to index.css. I will remove all the default code, the CSS code, and paste those three directories. Save that and close that. So now let's run npm run dev. Okay, npm run dev will run our React app. So let's move to this URL, control plus press that URL, and it will open this React app. This is default React app. Now I will change the code. Just come here. Let's remove the default code. So that is okay. Let's just change the title also. React Node MySQL auth. Save that. That is okay. We have completed our front-end app, but here we should see the return welcome app.jsx welcome. Yeah, let's just come here. We have imported app. we have to see the welcome message and the front end. So where is the problem? Is that running? Let's move. Yeah, there is a problem, I think. Fail to load URL app.css. Let's run it again. The error was due to app.jsx file, app.css file. Okay, let's. So again we failed. It says app.css from app.jsx. Let's remove app.jsx, and yeah, the app.css file is not existing. Yeah, that is okay. So now let's create our server side app. It means Node.js app. So for the Node.js app, let's move back to the terminal, and let's take a new terminal. And inside the new terminal, I will create first of all a folder here. Let's create folder and we will name it server. Let's change our directory to server. Inside the server, let's run this command npm init-y. So it will just initialize our node app. So it will create a file package.json. So now inside this we will install our libraries. So let's copy them. I have written them: npm install express, the framework app, Node.js, cross origin resource sharing, bcrypt password hashing, JSON web token, which is a JSON object for transform securely information, MySQL 2 is a driver which is used to just create a connection, and we would like to pitch or whatever you want to do with the MySQL database. So we will use this driver in Node.js. And Nodman is a library which is used to refresh our app automatically whenever we make changes. So after the completion, so now just come here and we will create a file inside server where we will write our code, index.js. This is the file where we will start our server side code. Now we'll come here to the package.json. First of all, we will just add nodemon that we have installed. Start nodemon index.js. So by default, whenever we make changes, it will automatically refresh our index.js file. Yeah, just come here. What else we need inside this our server side app? Let's run our server side app. So to run it, first of all, let's import const express is equal to require. So we will use require express. So but if you would like to use the import statement, so for the import we will just come here back to the package.json and add here module. Module is type. So sorry, shift type module. So now we can use the import statement. Instead of this, now we can simply write import express from express. Const app is equal to express. We will call the express method, and let's write app.listen. We will call listen method, and here we will assign a port number, for example right now 3000, and here we will create a callback function. Inside that I will write console.log server is running. That's it. Now let's run our server app. So to run that, we will simply write npm start. So server is running. Look at the console, you can see the server is running. So it was our server side app. Now let's just start our coding. So first of all, what we need to do, we will just design our front end, and let's close this. So first of all, I will design the login registration page. First of all, I will just design the registration page, then I will just complete the connection with the MySQL database, and also I will register a user, then I will move to the login, then protected routes. So let's move to our front end code, close all these things. src directory. In the src directory, I will create two folders. Pages, the first folder is pages. So inside this pages, I will just create a file with the name of register.jsx or AFCE to create the component, arrow component. Now let's use React router DOM to move directly by default. By default, we will move to home page. Let's create a home page also inside these pages. By default, we will move to this home page. Let's just add a few tailwind CSS classes, text 3xl and text blue 500. We'll change the color also. So just come here to the update.js and here I will implement the React router DOM. So to implement the React router DOM, for that let's import browser router routes and route from React router DOM. So after that, let's use that. We will change this div to browser router, and inside this will come, let's simply write here the routes. Inside routes, I will define route. The first one is the path is slash. We will move element as home page. So we should just export home page. Yeah, export default. Let's import that. Home. And also for the register, create another route for register or sign up. The element is register. So press enter to import that. That is okay. So yeah, we have implemented it. So by default, it will move to home page, but if we write register, so it will move to register page. Let's check it. So by default, it will move directly to the home page, but if we write register, so it will move to the register component. So now let's implement the register component, the design of registration page. So just come here, and inside this we will have another div. Inside this we will have a forum, and inside this forum we will have a div element, and inside this a label. This is for a name, registration, yeah, username, and down from that an input element which is type text and placeholder enter username. And let's copy this code, div element, and paste it for email and password also. This is for email, right here email, copy this, paste it here, and also for this is email. And let's do it for password also. Copy this code and paste it here for the password. So that is okay. So down from this, now we will have a button. So let's create a button which is used for submitting. Submit or register. So down from forum, here we will have another div element which is used. Here we will have a p tag, which here we will just write already how account. So please log in. So it will move directly to the login page. So for the login page, I will just now create a link anchor tag. So later I will change this to the React router DOM link. So I will just simply write here login. Save that. So let's now check it. Okay, it looks like this. I will add the tailwind CSS classes to design this. So I will pause video for tailwind CSS classes because it will just increase the length of the video. So later I will just explain you the classes. So these are the tailwind CSS classes for the parent div element, just flex, which will make them in a row. Justify in item center, it will just justify center will make them horizontally at the center. Item center will make them vertically at the center. H screen means to take the height of the screen. And in shadow, I have added shadow and border to the this div element. And H2 register, I have added text LG, font bold, margin bottom 4. And also for these input fields and label, I have added these classes like width full, padding X, padding Y, and border. Like these are the tailwind CSS classes. Look at BG green, 600, text white, PY, it means padding top and bottom, and width full. So let's check the results. So it looks like this. So now whenever we press this login button, login link, so we should move to the login component. So first let's create login component, then we will So let's create login page. That is a page with us. So we will name it login.jsx RAFCE to create this component. And let's board that and just come here, and here instead of this I will just use now link of react.dom link. Yeah, let's import that. 2 is equal to /login. So we will move to login path. So first of all, let's import link from react.dom, import link from react.dom. So it will work. I think we should just drop that inside curly braces. That is okay now. Yeah, so now let's create. Now I will change just the text color of that. Class name text blue, like make it 500. So let's create now route for login. Just come here to the app.jsx and create a route here. This is login and element login. Save that. So press login. So we directly move to the login page. So let's go back, and now let's just whenever we write something in these input fields, so we will store that inside variables, state variables. I will create state variables. Let's come here back to the register page, and I will create a state variables const, or I will just create an object. Okay, values, set values, use state. We will use use state hook to create this, and inside this is an object with us. Inside this object I will just declare first of all username. By default value is empty string, then email and password. So now let's update the value of these values. So okay, whenever we write in these input fields, so we will update the value. So let's create for that a function handle changes. We will get an event inside that. So here we will just update that. We will call set values method, and this is an object. So to update the object, first of all we will just write the previous values. Okay, this is spread operator, and values, it means the previous all values, and just update the field that I am editing right now. So to just update that field, for that simply I will write e.target.name, and I will assign to that e.target.value. So if I am editing username, so it will update the username. If I am editing the email, so it will just update the email. A password, that will assign value to the password. So now let's call this handle change method. Just come here first of all to the input element for the username. So here I will call first of all assign a name, which is username. Okay, name should be equal to these fields. And let's call on change event, and I will just call handle change. So let's copy these two lines, two properties, and I will paste them for the email also. For the email I will just change name to email. And for the password I will change this name to the password. That's it. So by pressing this submit function, submit button, so we will call again a function, and we will create that to submit data, our values, to the server side. So let's create another function, const handle submit, and let's call that here on submit. We will just use on submit event and call handle submit function. And here we will simply first of all write e.prevent default, so it will prevent the default submission. And here we will use Axios to pass our data to the server side. Axios, so let's first of all import that Axios, and let's use this Axios.post, and let's make it asynchronous function, async, and we will use await keyword here to wait until the completion of this function, and paste here. We will just write our server side path. So our server side URL is http localhost colon then the port of our server side. So we wrote the port of our server side was 3000. Come here to the index.js. Here you can see, look at 3000. This is the port number. So I will write 3000. Then I will move to a route. So right now we don't have routes, but later I will create these routes, auth/register, and I will pass values to that, or simply I will just pass values. Okay, so these values. So after passing the values, we will get a response. Okay, const response, and also I will just write this code inside try catch block. If there was any error, so we will console that error, and also console.log response. That's it. So now let's create, first of all, connection with the MySQL database. Then we will just register, write the API endpoint for our registration. Now we will create connection with the MySQL database. So for the MySQL database, I am using, okay, this is MySQL database, PHP MyAdmin and MySQL database. So I have installed my XAMPP server. If you have installed the MySQL server or MySQL database, so that is a great option. But I have installed XAMPP server, and I will use this PHP MyAdmin and this MySQL database. So the connection is the same, nothing. Okay, everything is okay, everything is same. So let's now create connection. So for the connection, I will create a file inside the server side. Let's close this and come here to the server, and I will create a folder. First of all, I will name it, for example, lab. And inside this lab, let's create a file db.js. And inside this db.js, I will create connection with the MySQL database. So first of all, I will just import MySQL from MySQL2 we have installed. And after that, what else we need? Just come here and we will create a function const, for example, let's let connection. This is a variable that I have created, and down now here I will create a function connect to database is equal to, and here let's create the function, and inside this function let's create connection with the database. First of all, I will specify if not connection, if the connection was not existed. So what we need to do, we will create a new connection. So for creating a new connection, we will use MySQL. So let's write MySQL.create connection, and to this create connection method I will pass 4 properties. So we will pass 4 properties. The first one is host. Okay, so the host is, so right now we are using localhost, so we will pass right here localhost. So where we should write these properties should be written in .env file. Okay, for security purpose, always you should write like the database name, the URLs, the keys and tokens, whatever is that. So you should write them in .env file. So let's first of all create a .env file inside this server folder .env, and inside this we will write db host, and we will assign to this local host, and db 4 properties we will pass to this. The first one is host, the second one is a user, so we will write db user. So our MySQL database user is root. The third one is password, db password. So the password is nothing, so I didn't assign password. And also db database. Okay, db database name, db name. So I will assign to this the database name. So the database name, I will just create a new database right now. So let's I will name it authentication. So that's it. So just come here, and here how we can access now these properties. Okay, db host, user, password and name. So to access them, for that we will use process.env dot db first of all host. So by default it will not work, but come here to the package.json and here nodemon index.js. So here I will simply write dash dash env dash, then I will write file, I will assign .env. Okay, we should write like this. I think that is equal to .env. So after writing like this, now we can access these properties from .env file. So the second property is the user. So to the user we will just assign process.env .db user. The third property is password, process.env.db password. And last one is database name, database process.env.db name. That's it. So let's just make this function as asynchronous function, async, and here we will just assign a wait keyword, and we will assign this connection to our variable, to this connection that we have created early. Connection is equal to with this connection. So after that, let's now return connection, and also let's export this function. So this is the connection, okay, our connection. So now we will use this function to create connection with our database. So just let's close this one also, just come here. Yeah, let's move to the database and we will create a new database. Let's press new and we will name it, the database name is authentication. So let's write authentication and create it, and we will just create a variable users, and it has 4 columns. The first one is ID, username, email, and password. Let's go and let's write here ID integer, and just come here. This is auto increment and primary key, and username, this is varchar, length is like 30 characters, and the third field is email, which is again varchar, and properties like 40, and password. So password, we are storing a hashed password inside this password field. So it will be a string, a varchar, but the length of this would be at least 150, or we can make it text. Okay, the text or the length should be 120 or 150, because the hashed password length is like, that is around 90, 100 or 120 characters. So after that, that is okay. So let's save that. So we have created a user inside that. Now we will use these users to insert a record. Let's create here another folder by the name of routes, where we will define our routes. The first route would be like auth routes.js, and inside this auth routes we will define now the routes for our registration and login. So all routes will be inside this. Come here back to server.js, index.js, and here we will just import the default things like import cars from cars class origin resource sharing. And what else we need to do, just come here, and here we will use app.use cars, app.use express.json, so it will convert data to the JSON format. And also let's write the port number inside this .env file, db server, or simply I will write port 3000. Just come here to the index.js, and here I will write process.env.port. Now come here to the auth routes, and here we will create a register endpoint. So let's first of all import import express from express, and const router is equal to express dot router. So we have created router, then we will just export this router. So simply we will write like this: router dot post, and here register. The API name was register, and here we will create a function. We can just create this function inside a controller folder also, but this is just authentication. We have just two routes, so instead of creating another folder, I will just implement that here. And let's export it. Export router. We can name it export default router. That's it. Now let's import it inside the index.js. Router from auth router. So we can name it like whatever, for example, auth router. Now let's use it. Okay, use this middleware. So we will write app.use, and here we will just write the API, the auth, it means the endpoint auth. This is the default endpoint, a default string that which will be prefixed with all these routes. For example, we should in the front end we will write like auth, okay, auth slash register. So we have implemented like this. First of all auth, then it will move to the router here register, and we will assign now auth router to this. That's it. Now inside the register, let's now print first of all the values that we passed from the server side, from the front end. Okay, const, we will just stack the value username, email, and password is equal to request.body. That's it. And let's console.log username. We are getting the value from front end or not. Just come here and we paste with an error what it says. Yeah, let's just come here and we will just make it art.js. That is okay, server is running. And let's now pass values from the front end. Password, whatever is that, 45. Submit it and let's check it now. Just come here. We received that or not. Slash auth slash register, and we didn't print the value. So let's check it. Where is the problem? There, where? Let's refresh it on once. Press submit button. So after submit, just come here and we didn't receive again any. So it says the error is that code, where is the error? So we are solving error like this: http localhost 3000 auth slash register post. I think the problem is inside the front end. Okay, inside the front end, just come here and here we will just solve that problem. Yeah, the problem has been solved. The problem was that after writing, okay, whenever we wrote this statement .env dash file equal to .env, so we should restart our server again. So I have restarted and the error solved. So now let's check it. Okay, we are getting the username from front end or not. So let's come here and let's press submit button. So let's move down. Now look at, we received the arif. Okay, we received the username. So it means that we successfully received data from the front end. So now we will store the data inside the just the server. Okay, to the database. So to store the data to the database, let's close the terminal. Let's go back to db.js, close this, and also index we don't need this one also. Just come here to the threads. Okay, here we will just store data into the database, to the MySQL database. So here instead of this, now let's implement async, and let's make it async Here we will use try catch block, and inside the try catch block, let's first of all import our connection from the db.js file. Import create connection, or that was connect to database. I think connect to database from at lib/db.js file. So that is okay. Now let's just write here const db is equal to await connect to database. Call that function. Let's write here catch block also if there was any error. So response.json, response.status 500.json, and just return the error. Now we will use this db to just create connection or fetch the data or store the data inside the MySQL database. So first of all, we will just write const rows. It means that the response which is returning, that is an array. So we will store that in array brackets. So rows is equal to we will use await. First of all, db dot query, we will use query or execute function, and here we will pass our SQL query. So the SQL query is, first of all, we will check if the user was already existed, so we will return a response that user is already existed. So simply let's write that SQL select steric from users where email is equal to with question mark, and here we will pass the email. Okay, so it will just execute this query. Sorry, we should not write SQL, I'm sorry. Select steric from users where email is equal to question mark, and the question mark it will replace with the email if this email was already existed. So here we will write if rows dot length was greater than 0, simply return a response dot JSON message user already existed. That's it. If the user was not existed, so then we will store the user inside the database. So for that, simply just come here down. So if the user was not existed, so then we will hash the password is equal to await. We will use bcrypt. So let's import bcrypt. bcrypt.hash. We will pass our password, and salt is just a string or number which define the unique character with our password. And now let's store our user to the database. So for that, simply let's write await keyword, and we will use db dot query. Here we will write our query, which is insert into users. We will just specify the columns which are username, email, and password. Values, here we will just define question mark, and question mark like this. So after that, here at the right side, we will specify all our fields. Username, and simply just write it here. Email and hash password. That's it. Okay, so it will just insert a record into the database. Insert into users username, email, and password to these fields. Values are, so these are the values: username, email, and hash password. So after storing user inside the database, so now we will return a response. Response.status, it means that we successfully inserted a record that JSON, and here a message a user created successfully. Here we can just return the status like 409, something like this. So this was to insert a record to the database. Okay, first of all, connection, call the connection function, then just check for the user. If the user was existed, return user already exists. Otherwise, hash the password and insert it to the database and return a response. Now let's check it. Okay, let's go back to the front end, and we have just printed the response. And just come here. Let's now refresh this. gmail.com and write the password or 5. Press submit button. So the response is that internal server error. So it means that we faced with server error. Let's check the server error. So it says you have tried to call .then.catch or invoked await on the result of query that is not a promise, which is up. Yeah, that is the reason up. Just come here to the db.js, and here we will use promise. Okay, simply right. Okay, we will use promises because we are using a wait and async keyword, so we should write like this: MySQL to promise. Now let's try it. Okay, press the submit button. So it again says the same error. So yeah, server is running. I think we have stored the record successfully. So yeah, no, we don't have any record yet. Just come here and refresh that. Submit it. Again, we faced with server side error. So right now we don't have any error. Yeah, the error has been solved. The problem was just in register.jsx, so we just removed the square brackets from e.target.value. So after removing that, so the error has been solved, because here we were returning the response was just in array notation. So that's why there was a problem, and it was causing that error. So now let's try it and register this users. Okay, right now let's refresh it. Okay, we don't have any user, so let's press submit button. So look at, we received this data to 01, user created successfully. So let's refresh it now. So look at, we have the first user that we have registered. So this was the registration. So now whenever we return the success message, so we will just move directly to the login page. So for that, here we will just specify, come here to the register app response, and let's check it. Okay, response.status. Response.status was equal to with 201 or response.status. We have just returned 201. Okay, if that was 201, so then remove to the login page. So how to remove to the login page? So for that we will use navigate hook. So let's first of all create an instance of that. Yeah, use navigate hook. I've imported from React Outer DOM. Now let's use it. Here we will use navigate /login. Save that, and let's insert now a new record. Press the submit button, so we directly move to the login component. So now let's implement the login functionality. So this was the registration functionality. Now let's implement the login functionality. Let's come here to the auth route. So here, instead of register, we will just copy the whole code, because login same to register. We will just change a few line of codes. So instead of register, we will write login, and here we will receive just email and password and DB connection. That is okay. First of all, we will check is the user existed or not. Select static from user where email okay. If length was greater than 0, so then return user already existed. So it means if the user was If the length was equal to with 0, so we will return that the user 404 JSON message user not existed. User not existed. It means the user is not in the system. And down from that we will compare the password. So let's remove these two line of code. Instead of this code, I will just write const as match. This variable is equal to await bcrypt dot compare. So first of all, we will assign our password that we have passed from request.body. After that, our encrypted password. So where we can get the encrypted password, so we will get that from rows 0 dot password. So what does this mean? It means whenever we run this query, so it will return a user, an array of user. Okay, so this is array with us. So whenever if the user was not existed, so when we return this response that the user is not existed. But if the user was existed, so then we will simply write like this: the first user dot password. So after comparing that, if the password matches, so then we will, for example, if not is match. If the password didn't match, what we need to do, we will return again a response: the password is wrong. Wrong password. So now we have returned this password, this response. Down from that, if the password was okay, so then we will return a response. Before returning a response, so we will generate a token. So then we will return that token to the front end. So let's generate a token. Const token is equal to, we will use JWT. So let's first of all import the JWT JSON web token. Now let's use it. Dot sign, we will use sign method. First of all, payload. In the payload, I will assign just ID. It means I will store ID inside this. So to store ID, for that, rows 0 dot ID, and after that the secret key. Okay, this key should be a unique key, at least 32 character. No one should know about this key. So so how to get the key? So the key, I will write that inside environment variable file. Okay, here JWT key is equal to JWT secret key. I just wrote like this, but you should write a secure key. Just come here, and here I will get process .env.jwt secret key. After that, the expiration, expire in, for example, 3 hour. It will expire this token in 3 hour. After 3 hour, this token will not work. You cannot log in through this token. So after generating the token, now we will just return the token to the front end. So for that, simply just come here, write to o1.json. Let's return the token. That's it. So look at, first of all, we compare the user. If the user was not existed, return that the user is not existed. Then we will compare the password. If the password was wrong, so then we will return wrong password. Then we will generate, if the password was okay, we will generate a token, and we will return token to the front end. So let's move now back to the register. Instead of register, let's design now login. Login design is same to register, but instead of register, we will remove the username from register. The code is the same. The whole process is same because the design is same. Copy this register code, paste it, just change this to login, and also this component name to login. After that, here in the login system, we don't need username, so let's remove username. And what else we need? Handle change, that is okay. Handle submit. Instead of register, we will move to login here. That's set. And here we will move directly to the home page whenever we successfully returned. So we will move to the home page. Come here down and change this to the login. And let's submit, and let's just remove the username. That's it. Come here, submit. Don't have an account. don't have account, so then sign up. So here we will just try to sign up. That's it. Let's move now to our login page. So look at, this is our login page, email, password. Let's press sign up. It means that there is a spelling mistake. Link to sign up. So let's check the app.jsx. That is register. Okay, that is register. I just remember. So look at register page, back to login page. Now in the login page, whenever we write, so we have stored these values inside the variables as I showed in the register page. Then by pressing submit button, we will pass data to the login API. Okay, to this API. So here we checked everything. Now let's just check it. Okay, let's come here. So we stored a user. So the username was like array@gmail.com. And password was 1 2 3 4 and 5. So press submit button, we directly move to home page. It means that we successfully logged into the system. So after returning the token, so we will store the token inside local storage. Just come here, back to the login, and by successful registration, so what we need to do, we will just store the token that we have returned inside the local storage. Set item, first of all, we will just have a token, and we will just write response.data.token that we have returned. Let's log in once again. Press submit button, we successfully logged in. So let's check now the local storage. Come here to the application, come here to the local storage. So look at, we have stored just the token. We have this token. This is the token that we have stored. Remove these user ID. Don't need these things. Okay, we need just this token. So after storing the token, now, for example, someone unauthorized mail. For example, let's copy this URL and come here to new incognito, press OK. Unauthorized user should not access this home page. It means that the user should be authorized, should be logged in, then he can access the home page. So here we will implement the protected routes. If he was not logged in, so he will move directly to the sign up or login page. But if he was logged in, so then he will directly move to the home page. So let's implement now protected routes. So let's move to home page. In the home page, I would like to return the user information. So for that, come here to the user and come here to the, I will write use effect hook. Inside this use effect, I will return the information of a user from database. So I will first of all validate if the user was logged in, so it will move to home page, otherwise it will move directly to the login or register page. So just come here, and here I will just write const fetch user is equal to, this is a function that I will create, and inside this fetch user I will just const response is equal to access dot get. I will use git slash http /auth/home. So we will pass now token from front end to the server side. Okay, whenever we call this API home, so we will pass our token from this front end to the server side also. So to pass that, let's first of all read const token is equal to local storage dot get item slash token. Just read this token, comma. So to pass that, we will pass that inside the headers, and inside the headers I will just write authorization and I will just write bearer before the token. That's this prefix will just tell the server side that this is secret. It means secret information, or the token, which type of token is it. Okay, that's essential to just write bearer prefix before the your token. And let's wrap it inside this quotation, and here I will just write token. So we have passed our token through header to this home endpoint. Later, let's make it asynchronous and right here await. And here we will print the response. That's it. Let's now call that function fetch user. So let's now create this home endpoint. Come here to the auth, and I will first of all create a function. Const verify token, this function. To this function we will pass request, response, and next. Next we will call this next whenever we successfully verified the token. So then we will call this next. This next will move directly back from where we called this function. I will show you. Okay, don't worry for that. In this verify token, I will verify first of all my token. So first I will read token from the header. Const token is equal to, so let's make it asynchronous. Okay, async, and I will wrap the whole code inside try catch block. If there was any error, so return this server error. So now inside this, let's write const token is equal to request dot headers authorization. So it will just read authorization from headers array. Okay, after reading the authorization, now we will split the authorization. Dot split, we will call split method, split that based on space and first one. What does this mean? Okay, so look at back to the login. Here, whenever we pass this authorization, so it will check first of all, read the authorization. Okay, after reading the authorization, so it will, what it will do, so it will separate this text based on space, based on this space. After separating that, so it will read the first one. This is 0, but this is first in array, so it will read the token. So after reading that, now we will verify our token. So let's write if not token, if the token was not existed, so simply return response dot status. So status 403 dot JSON, and we will return a message. In the message we will write no token provided. That's it. Now down from that, if the token was available, so then what we need to do, simply just come here and write const decoded is equal to gwt dot verify, and first of all we will just pass our token, comma, then we will pass our secret key process dot env dot gwt key, this key. So what it will do, it will just verify our token based on that key that we have written inside our .env file. So then it will return this decoded value. This decoded value is the payload that we stored inside our gwt token. Let's come here to the login. Come here to the login. I will show to you. In the login, come here to the token. Yeah, this is the payload. This is the decoded value. Okay, we will get ID in decoded value in this decoded variable. So now after reading that, let's simply write like request dot user ID is equal to decoded dot ID. So where we stored, we just attach that ID with our request. we attach that ID with our request.user ID. Now we can read this user ID from our request later in home endpoint. So now let's call next. So it means that we successfully verified the token was okay. So now whenever we call this next, so it will move wherever you have called this verify token function. Let's come here, we will create router.get/home. Here first of all we will call verify token method, then we will implement request. Let's make it async, request and response. So whenever we call this, whenever we request to this home endpoint, what it do, it first of all call verify token, and here it check the token. If the token was okay, so then by this next it will come directly to this method. If the token was not okay, so then it will return this or this message. Okay, so it come here. If the token was okay, so then we would like to return the users information. So for that, simply like as we did here, so first of all we will just call this connect to database, okay, connection. Then we will just read our, so here we will read, it means find a user based on ID. So come here where ID, because we have now ID is equal to with request.user ID, as we attached there, as we have attached user ID with request. So now we can read that ID here. If rows.length was 0, so return user not existed, else just read the information of user. It means that just return the user's information. If just come here and return and inside the JS user rows 0. Save that, and now let's come here back to home page. Let's check it now. First of all, let's move to the console, and in the console to the application. In the application, the locus, we don't have token right now. Okay, so let's now log in back, and we would like to just store our token. We will log in as arif@gmail.com. So we have stored the token. Look at this token, we directly come here. Now, for example, if I move, let's copy this and take a new, let's open this Microsoft Edge, paste that URL and press enter. So I directly access the home page. So I should not access, okay, if I was not authorized. It means if I was not authorized, I should not access the home page. Let's now move to the console, because here we don't have the token. So we don't have the token, okay, that we have stored. We don't have token, but we have accessed the home page. We should not access that. We should directly move to the home page. So let's go back to console. In the console, we return this, okay, access code network error. Let's refresh it once again. So the response was auth home. Just let's move to home page. This is 3000, okay, not 300. Okay, save that. Refresh that. Just come here to Microsoft Edge, refresh that back. So auth home internal server error. It means here we don't have the token is not stored, so we return the error. But now we should handle the front end also. Look at server side error. Here we have received the server side error. So how to handle the error? Just come here. After receiving the response, let's first of all wrap all the code. Let's just move this code outside of the use effect. Paste that code here. Asynchronous, let's try alt. If response dot status was equal to with 201, so then it will continue as okay. If was not equal to with 201, so it will move directly back to the login page. So we will use navigate. Login. What we did, we are returning response from our auth, from this home component. If the token was not valid, so we returned 403. If the token was valid, so we returned the response 201. If the status code was whatever the status code was, if the without 201, without 201, in all cases the token is invalid. The token is invalid. The token is not valid. So for that, come here back to home page. If the status code was not equal to with 201, so move back to the login page. Otherwise, move to the home page. That's it. Let's now refresh it. Here we are logged in because we have access to the token. Come here to the Microsoft Edge. So here we should move back to the login page. Just come here, uncaught in promise reference response is not defined at which user. So just come here. Here we have, yeah, that is okay. Let's remove it. Let's refresh it now. Again we faced with an error at server side error. Request page with, it means that we move directly, come here to the here. So here we should handle that. Here if there was an error, so we will come here to the login. Let's now write that here also. Save that. That is okay. That is okay. We can just remove. Now that is okay. Look at, we will directly move back to the login page. If I access the home page, so it will directly move back to the login page because we just handle our front-end. If there was an error, it means if that was the token was not provided or the token was invalid, so then directly, or there was server side error, move directly back the user to the login page. And also in this case, if the status code was not 201, again it move directly user to the login page. But if I try in the Chrome, look at, let's save this and let's even close this tab. I have closed that tab. Let's open again, press OK. We have token in our local storage. Press it, we will directly access the home page. Even if I move to the new again, I think in new incognito, yeah, we don't have access to the token in new incognito tab. So that is how we can access that. But if I here now I log into the system, email.com, let's log in. So direct now we can access. Even let's close the Microsoft Edge, open it again, paste that and press enter, we can access our home page. So that is how we can do write the protected routes in MySQL, Node and React.js. So it was all about registering a user, login system and protected routes in these three technologies like React, Node and MySQL. So if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel and like this video and comment down. Thanks for watching.